So if you can all just accept that recording, okay? Yes, now we are 20 plus. All right, so good afternoon. My name is Sean Kruger. I am a lecturer and a program manager at the School of Law at Howard College. And of course, the School of Law offers 3 service courses to the BCom students like yourself. This one, of course, is for the first year students. So I'm going to assume most of you are first year and most of you are first year now in your second semester. This is the first time that you have to do with the law, right? And so this module is called Intro to Commercial Law. So the Intro to Commercial Law module, and basically this module looks at just a general overview of South African law, and then on contracts, and we look at contracts, right? But good afternoon and welcome, and I hope you will enjoy this module. I always say the module is not just there for you to pass a test or to pass the exams or even just to use in your place of work, right? This module prepares you for the life after studies. It shows you what are your rights, what are your responsibilities when it comes to contracts, right? And contracts of sale, contracts of lease agreements or credit agreements, those are contracts that we use every day, every week, every month, right? So hopefully this module will assist you in understanding a little bit more of how the world works, how contracts works, etc. All right, so I said my name is Sean Kruger. I am the module coordinator and also the module, oh my goodness. All right, now wait first. Don't know what happened there. I want to do that and that. Yes. Okay, so I am the module coordinator and also the lecturer for this module. We also have another lecturer, right? So you won't be stuck with me for the entire semester. I will see you up until the end of August. And then from the 5th of September, the other lecturer, Miss Masiwe Nkumalu, will take over, right? So she's going to take over for the rest. But I thought let us start at least today, that I can give you an overview of the module, that I can answer any questions that you have on the module or on your studies, and that we start off with that first slide on the introduction to law. Okay, so you can all see the slide. All right, but before I get there, you know that, well, we've got a learn page, right? And you have to check the learn page. As soon as I post an announcement, you will get that on your emails. So always check your student emails. On the learn page, you will see right at the top, we've got announcements, and then there's a poll that we're running to see the students, how many students are going to what delivery or what period, right? So we've got basically for this module, we've got 4 groups, R1, R2, R3, and R4. I think you are R2. I think you should be R2. But so we've got a Monday morning at 10:30, then a Monday afternoon, 2:10, then a Tuesday morning, 10:30, and a Tuesday afternoon, 2:10. So I hope that you will stay in your group as you are now, and that the rest of your friends and colleagues and fellow students join these Zoom sessions, right? But we'll talk about that Zoom sessions. So let me see. Okay, let us have a look at this. I always start off with this little light-hearted kind of thing. People think that the law is something that is above them. The law is something theoretical and only affects if you hear the constitutional court or politicians, etc. But the law actually regulates our day-to-day lives, right? And the law has practical application. It is not just something, a theory or legislation somewhere. It has practical application for us. So it is important for us to know how the law feeds into our daily lives, right? So I've included, that is what I wanted to say. So I've included on the Learn page, you will see that we have, every week we will upload the materials for that week. So any lecture materials, notes, any reading or so that we want you to go through. Plus we will upload a video. So those of you who maybe do not want to read through the notes, there's a video of us, myself or the other lecturer, reading through the notes and explaining as if you were sitting in a lecture, right? This, what we're doing today, right, or these sessions, the School of Law calls this Zoom consults. So we say this is not the lecture. The lecture has been uploaded onto Learn. You can go listen to the lecture, you can read the lecture, you can read the additional materials. These sessions that we have on a Tuesday, now 2:10, is a Zoom consult session where we hope that you would prepare and where we can chat about certain things, where we can get clarity about certain important aspects, right? So you will see typically, I will never be able to read through all the slides, right? I'm not going to read for you. I'm sure you'll be able to do that yourselves. But I will highlight definitely certain important aspects. Okay. So please, if you have any questions, I see there is a chat, but please send it on chat, or if you want to raise your hand, you can do that as well. Okay, so this first little bit is just to say, so what is the aim of the Intro to Commercial Law? Why do we need to do it? This is a service module offered by the School of Law to the BCom students. And as we say, hopefully this will develop your skills, not just logical reasoning skills, but also give you an understanding of the law and how you fit into that world of the law. Okay, so yeah, let me stop there. I say that this is a very condensed form of the law of contracts and other aspects, right? Just give you this example, or this, yes, let me just explain. Intro to Commercial Law that we offer for BCom students like yourself at Westville is a 16-credit module. Now, 16 credits means that there is 160 notional hours of study should go into this module. It means that you as a student should actually spend 160 hours on a 60-credit module. And you can go and work it out and see how many hours do you need to spend per week on a module to make up that 160 hours, right? And of course, we know that most students will decide to rather go to the beach or do something else and only start studying 2 days before a test. And this is difficult, people. You cannot simply wait, put everything off, and then 2 days before now suddenly try to grasp what in our case is the law of contract, right? So what I want from you and an undertaking from you is that you will at the very least, spend one Zoom consult a week, that you will attend one Zoom consult a week, right? On a Monday or a Tuesday, hopefully in this group. Plus that you put aside 2 hours a week to go through the materials that we are discussing. Right? So, for example, if you put aside 2 hours on a Friday and you say, okay, on Friday, you're going to spend on Intro to Commercial Law, just reading through the materials, that would be perfect. Just so that you engage with the materials in full, that you download it, that you open it, that you see if you understand what we were discussing. And so hopefully every week, like this week, I'm going to say, please read through the 7 slideshows or 6 slideshows that I uploaded under Intro to Commercial Law. So next week, Tuesday, that we can discuss the major points in that. Right. So just keep that to the side. So I said 160 hours that you're supposed to spend on this module. Now, this is a very condensed module. Why? Because it covers 3 aspects. So number 1, it covers Intro to Law. Now, Intro to Law for the full-time LLB students is a module that is an entire semester module. We have condensed into 2 weeks of lectures. Right? Secondly, the module looks at general principles of contract. And general principles of contract is an entire semester for the full-time LLB students. So again, we have condensed that into 5 weeks. Right? And then we look at specific contracts like sale, lease, credit agreements, insurance, agency, security agreements. Right? And all of those usually take place a semester, and we've again condensed that into 5 weeks. So absolutely, this is a condensed version. We do not want you to become lawyers, although if you want to become lawyers, why not? Right? But we know that you are not studying law. We are not, our questions that we pose in the tests and in the assessments are geared towards BCom students. Right. And the reason why I know it's geared towards BCom students is because I myself studied BCom. I had BCom accounting, BCom financial management, and business management. Right. So during my BCom studies, and this is now a long time ago, during my BCom studies, I had commercial law, and we called it business law and commercial law at that time. And I thought that would be wonderful combining law modules with my BCom modules. So I completed my BCom degree. And then before I started work, I said, now let me now enroll for another undergrad degree, the LLB degree. And I did my LLB degree, which is your law degree. Right. From there, I combined those 2 aspects of accounting, auditing with criminal law, criminal procedure, evidence, right? And I combined that and I started working at the Special Investigating Unit. So the Special Investigating Unit, of course, investigates fraud, corruption, and maladministration in government. I was a forensic investigator there. I'm now a member of the ACFE, and I'm the program manager for the Forensic Investigation Program at the School of Law at the CELS unit. Right. So I'm saying this to you to say that what you are studying now, your BCom accounting or your BCom, the HR business management or so, that is not the end and final kind of thing. Thanks, Anel. So that is definitely not the last stop. You must see your studies as a journey not just one thing and you expect, oh, you're going to be employed somewhere. You increase as the longer you can build on your knowledge base, the better it would be for you at the end. And there is definitely, if you think of forensic investigations, that is an international job requirement. All over, it is a scarce skill in Australia and Canada, Europe, Asia, everywhere, right? So definitely something to keep in mind. Your focus is, of course, completing your BCom now. So most of you, well, all of you have, of course, registered for the Intro to Law, Intro to Commercial Law segment. Next year, first semester, you have a choice to do business transactions law, right? Business enterprises, and you can do special topics in business law, which deals with employment and bank documents, etc. Right, okay, so that is my entire speech that I had for why it is important for you to do this Intro to Commercial Law module. I hope that you have, that you are excited to do this module and that you don't deregister immediately after the session. All right, so let us have a look at what are we going to do. So the aim of this module is to look at aspects of the SA legal system that we do in 2 weeks, this week and next week, right? So major things as to what are the sources of law, what are the categories of law, where does commercial law fit in, right? We look at what is the difference between criminal law and civil law, right? What are the different courts? So all of this is just to give you an understanding of the law, of the terminology, what we refer to. Secondly, you will see that we're going to look at general principles of the law. So the general principles of the law is the common requirements for all contracts. Those requirements are things like what? Like consensus, right? Consensus means that there must be an agreement between the parties. You cannot force someone to enter into a contract with you, right? So general principles of law, we're going to look at that: capacity, agreement, the terms, the formalities, what is voidable contracts or void or voidable, and things like that, and breach of contract, right? And then your other lecturer is going to take you then through to sale, lease, credit agreements, insurance and agency, and security. So all the other kind of contracts. I can't say all the contracts, but most of the contracts. Okay. So that is what we're going to do with you this semester. I hope you find that interesting and that you can use that. I always say, not in the test, but in your personal lives. If you are renting property, if you're renting your first flat, that you know what your rights are. If you buy a car, and this is now going to be your student car, your first vehicle that you own, that you know what your rights are in terms of that contract of sale. All right. Let us look at some other issues, right? So any administrative queries that you have, let's say, for example, you've uploaded your assignment and you cannot see your assignment, or the test was written and everyone got their marks back except for you. All of those admin queries you can direct to Ms. Mshengu, who is our administrative coordinator, or what is it, the administrative coordinator or assistant, right? So you have Ms. Mshengu's email address on this document, but also in the module outline, right? And this is my email address, of course, as module coordinator, that you can email me directly if you have any specific issues. All right. Your prescribed book, I don't know if any of you checked on that announcement that I sent out earlier today, but we have acquired some only 6 access to the online book, right? So the online book is available. The link is there on the under announcements, but I would still advise you to purchase the Law of Commerce in South Africa textbook, right? And the reason for this is that this textbook is not going to just be outdated immediately. This textbook, you'll be able to use it in the next 5 years, etc., 10 years, as a basis for yourself. Keep it for yourself, not for a test, right? So when you encounter any problems with a seller or with a buyer, or you encounter problems with a financial services provider, or with a landlord, when you're talking about a lease agreement, that you can refer back to this book. And now this book is available at or from Sherwood Books, right? And Sherwood Books have always given our students a discount when it came to these law books at Westville. So they've got 2 books available, the physical printed book, and also then the e-book, right? And I don't know about you, but I prefer a physical book to an e-book, but yeah. Okay, so that is the book, The Law of Commerce in South Africa. That is the prescribed textbook. There's also recommended textbooks that you can, if you want to, go to the School of Law, Howard College, and go and sit there and read through other books, right? So that is one of the points that you have to remember. Your prescribed textbook, purchase the prescribed textbook. Don't use the money to go on Saturday or Friday night and go drink out the money that you're supposed to spend on the textbook, right? The next one, with regard to lectures. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the lectures are recorded and those are uploaded onto Learn, right? Plus then the materials. Any additions, so because the textbook is a 2021 textbook, there might be some additional materials that we the lecturers, will then create a document and we will upload it onto Learn, right? Lectures, you do not have 4 lectures per week for every group. Every group has 1 Zoom consult session, right? So your consult session is on a Tuesday at 2:10 until 3 o'clock. So 1 Zoom consult session where it gives you an opportunity to engage with us about things that you want clarity on, that you feel unsure about. It gives us an opportunity to highlight certain aspects for you, right? So that is why I say it is very important that in this week, you set aside 2 hours in which you will read through the Intro to Commercial Law materials that I've uploaded for the Introduction to Law, so that we can discuss this then next week, right? Just hold on. Okay. I see that some of you might have purchased the 2nd edition of the textbook, the older version of the textbook. Yes, you can use it. The basics would be the same. The new version, the new version just includes the updated cases and updated legislation, right? But if there's anything specific, we will highlight that and we will tell you, please make sure that you get that page or that you refer to that section. Okay. All right, so that is with regard to the Zoom sessions. I hope it is clear. What I require from you, as I said, 3 hours a week. 1 hour for a Zoom consult and 2 hours that you actually read and prepare. It is not that much, right? Now, the last thing, what we have under the general discussion is your assessments. Students always want to find out how are they assessed, right? So what is your goal here, right? The assessments, we have two kinds. The first one is class assignments. Now, class assignments count 10% of the work. There will be 3 class assignments during the course of the semester. So there will be 3 class assignments during the course of the semester. The class assignments are small assignments. It requires you to submit a document 1 page or a 2-page document. It does not require referencing and footnotes like you would have in an academic writing thing. But I want to see that you have tried to answer. And you will see all the class assignments would be do research in your community, right? Do research amongst other students. Find out what they understand with, say, consensus. What does consensus mean? So your class assignments, we will upload 3 class assignments. And during the course of the semester, you have to submit 2 out of the 3 to get 10%. So you have to submit 2 out of the 3. If you miss class assignment number 1, you have to do number 2 and number 3. If you only do 1 of the class assignments, then sorry, you will get 0 for your participation in the class activities, right? So you have to do 2 out of the 3 class assignments, right? So that counts 10%. And then you will see the online tests. There will be 3 online tests, and each one of those tests count 30 marks. So it's 30%, 30%, 30%, right? And the tests are made up of MCQs and short answer questions. So it might be 50 marks MCQs, 50 marks short answer, or 20 marks MCQs and 10 marks short answer. All right. The dates for these tests. These are the dates for the test. Is Wednesday, the 7th of September, then again on the 5th of October, and then again on the 2nd of November, right? The tests take place in the evenings, so it will not clash with any of your day activities. The tests are open from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock, or with this load shedding, maybe until 9 o'clock, from 5 to 9, and you have to put aside 1 hour to work on that test, to write that test. Right? It's an online test. If you want to start at 7 o'clock, that's fine. You have from 7 to 8, or from 7 to 8. Maybe you want to start at 8 o'clock, you can write from 8 to 9. Right. But that is the proposed test schedule. Now, the second thing that I need from you is one of you, and hopefully more of you, but at least one of you should email me and indicate that you want to be the class rep for Intro to Commercial Law for your group, right? So please, whoever wants to nominate themselves, right, who want to become a class rep, the idea of the class rep is that you act as the middleman. If there's any issues, then the class rep can email me and say, there's a clash with the test. Please, let's have a look at the test. Can we move the test date? Right. So that I want to see from the class rep. I cannot answer 200 students all individually emailing me these kind of queries. So the class rep, remember, because this is a School of Law module, a service module, you have to follow the School of Law's rules regarding agrotats and other teaching and learning matters. So teaching and learning, our teaching and learning asks that we identify class reps for each group and give their names and telephone numbers through to the teaching and learning division, and they will then keep that. If there's any issues, then they will be able to contact you directly. So please, if any of you want to be a class rep, please send me an email just to say what group you are in and that you would be the class rep. Here's your telephone number, here's your student number. Okay. And so the class rep will typically tell me if there's any clashes on these dates that we've set out here. Okay, and let us see, that is all on that slide. Okay, any questions? Any questions on that? Any questions on the assessments or on the prescribed textbook? I'm just checking the chat. I don't see anything else. All right. Okay. So let us discuss, or let us have a look at that first set of slides. Right. So the first set of slides that I've uploaded, let us see if we can maybe have a look at that. Please just hold on. I just quickly want to do something. Yeah. Okay, I think that is fine. All right. So firstly, we start off with something very easy, right? So that's why I thought let us at least discuss this. If you think about the law, there's two aspects here. The first one is we ask, what is the role of the law in society? What is the role of the law, or what is the purpose of the law in society as a whole, right? And the second question we go, what is the purpose of the law in business relationship, or what is the purpose of law in the commercial field, right? So let us see. Firstly, with regard to the role of law in society. Now, I know that you will all of you will remember the chaos and the anarchy that we experienced last year this time. So last year, July, when we had the unrests in KZN and in Gauteng. Right. Those unrests were not just unrests, but also it went hand in hand with looting, with criminal activities, and also with people losing their lives, people being killed, etc. Now, that is a perfect example of what happens in society where there are no rules. Right? And those of you who have watched, what is that, who have watched those movies, The Purge, right? That is exactly what happens when there are no rules to govern society. If there are no rules, people do whatever they want, and basically it comes down to the strongest, the most vicious, the craziest person. He will just kill everyone. He will just take whatever he wants and, do whatever he wants. So the law plays a very, very important role. The law is not just those laws that are written. I mentioned there, for example, if you live on an island and you're part of a tribe, even though there's no parliament, even though there's no president and a constitution, you still have to adhere to the rules, right? And those rules then determine what you can do and what you can't do. And that is what the law is. So, I mean, our laws all started off as, say, rules. And then it developed, and there was elections, and people were appointed, and then it becomes there's a parliament, there's legislation, there's court cases, etc. And so that creates laws. That is the source of laws, is legislation, case law, common law, etc. Okay. So if we look at the law, yeah, we say in the modern day, in our modern day, we have adapted laws, right? So there's a lot of laws. If you think of, what is that biblical law of thou shalt not kill, right? We've adapted that. We said, no, sometimes you can kill someone if it's in self-defense, or where you are a police officer and that person is threatening someone else's life, you can shoot that person, right? So we distinguish between killing someone and murdering someone. We say murdering is the unlawful killing of another. But it is possible for you to lawfully kill someone in protection of your own or your family or of someone else. Okay, so that is why we say we've developed the laws to fit our society. And the law is never stagnant. The law continues to evolve. As our society evolves, there will be new laws, right? So one day when there's androids living amongst us and walking around and stuff, there will be laws governing them as well. Right. So I said in this module, there is a vast array of laws, right? In so many different public law administration, evidence, criminal procedure, etc. We are only going to look at contract and at the specific contracts. So this is a nice point. Usually in a test, I would go for 2 marks. Explain to your cousin what the law is. Explain what is meant by the law, right? And so what is the law? The law is a body of rules that govern human conduct, right? And that is recognized as binding by the state and, where necessary, enforced. So what does it say? It is a body of rules that govern our interaction with one another. It is enforced by the state. So if you break those rules, there will be consequences. Either you might be charged criminally with an offense, or it might be that you are found negligent and you have to pay damages or something like that. Right. So a body of rules governing human conduct that is recognized as binding by the state and, where necessary, that is enforced. Right. Now, I mentioned, so if we now move away from this and we say, how does the law affect business relationships? How does the law affect commerce or commercial activity, right? Think of the contracts that are linked, that you enter into daily or weekly, that form part of the law, right? Now I say, think of sale agreements, for example, right? Sale agreements, lease agreements, employment relations, employer, employees, right? Insurance contracts, etc. All of that form part of the law, and that is linked to commercial activity. Where you want to, for example, start a company, there's laws pertaining to how you start a company, how that company should run. Where you want to apply for credit, there's laws applying to credit and how credit can be given to a person or to a business, right? Where a business, I say contracts where the business insures the business vehicles, right? There's laws pertaining to that. There are rules pertaining to that. So really, the law is in all kinds of business activities, in all kinds of commercial activities. You will find some aspect of the law there to regulate that. Right? Imagine if you sell your vehicle, your car, and you hand over the car to that person, and that person doesn't pay. They said they will pay at the end of the month, and they never pay, and they've gone now with your car and the vehicle. You must know with the contract of sale, what are your duties and what are your responsibilities, what are your rights? How do you get your vehicle back, or how do you force that person to pay that price, the contract price that you have agreed upon? Okay. So the other question from this first set of slides that deals with the what is the purpose of the law in commercial activity, or the role of the law within business relations, right? And I put this in a test for either 4 marks or for 6 marks, where I say, discuss the role of business activities, discuss the role of the law in business activities or in commercial activities, right? Where you would then list the role of the law, and you would discuss each one of those in a short sentence or 2 sentences. Right? So let's have a look at this. The role of the law. So what is the purpose of the law in business activities or commercial activities? Firstly, the law sets a minimum standard to which everyone has to apply, a minimum standard to which the state and other people have to apply. Why? Because there's something like the constitutional law, the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights apply to the state, but also apply to everyone else. So there are minimum standards. Secondly, the law recognizes different property and the protection and use of property. Now, I mentioned the different kinds of property. What kinds of property do you get? Basically, there are 3 kinds of property. The first one is fixed assets. Now, a fixed asset is an asset like a farm, a factory, a house, a residential unit that cannot move, right? And it is fixed. Secondly, movable assets. Now, these are assets which you can touch and you can move them around: your car, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, right? And thirdly, you get assets which you cannot see or touch, but you know it's there. For example, we call that immaterial assets, right? And an immaterial asset, that would be, for example, your intellectual property rights, like a patent, right? Invention that you register, or where you write a book and you have you become the author of a book, so you have that that right. Now I'm trying to think, what do you call it? The it will get back to me a bit later. But so the kinds of property that you have, these different kinds of property, and the law recognizes the property and also how you should act with that property. So even though I've got my own house or my own flat, I cannot use the flat or have parties there that disturb the neighbors, kind of thing. So there's laws regulating all of that. Laws facilitate and uphold business agreements, right? So if you are unhappy about something, you don't take the matter in your own hands and go and fight it out like school kids, right? You have to go to the courts and ask the court to intervene and to find in favor of you or the other person and to award damages. I said there, the law is also the foundation of corporate activity. So that means, remember, I don't know if you know. So you and I, people who are born people, right, are called natural persons. A company, a close corporation, a business trust, those are juristic persons. That means those are persons created by law with certain rights and responsibilities. Right? So the law regulates this business field with companies, with close corporations, what they must do, what they can't do, the King reports, etc. I said there, number 5, the law legitimizes state intervention in commercial activity. Think about an employee-employer relationship. Those are private contracts, right? But the state still steps in where they feel that somebody is being exploited, right? So there's still legislation like the Basic Conditions of Service Act, the Occupational Health and Safety Act that comes into play that regulates this employer-employee relationship. And then lastly, I said the law recognizes methods of dispute resolution. So a dispute where you have a disagreement with someone, right? And a resolution, meaning that disagreement is resolved not through fighting and blood and violence, but through a third party that listens to you and then makes a decision. So that could be through mediation, it could be through arbitration, or it could be through any other kind of resolution, like, for example, the courts or the CCMA, etc. Right. So with this kind of question, I'm going to ask, what is the purpose of law? Explain to someone, say you explain to your cousin Sam, what is the purpose of law in commerce activities? Refer to at least 3 aspects and give examples, right? So I have on this set of slides, you will see there, I discuss each one of them. So minimum standards, the different kinds of property, the upholds business agreements is there, corporate activity, dispute resolution, etc. Right. So all of that, oh, yes, okay, that is fine. Sorry about that. So all of that is set out on that slide. Right. So people, this slide was an introduction as to what work we are going to look at. Right. You have now gone with me through this, through the first slide. I think there are 5 more slides left. Some of those slides are very short. You will see 15 pages, 12 pages. Right. Please set aside 2 hours this week to read through those slides that we haven't discussed now, so that we can discuss those slides next week, Tuesday. Right. And try to keep up to date. Do not leave everything until the last final little point and then you scramble to get everything in order. Right. The test dates, as I say, as soon as I get a class rep, then the class reps and I can talk about the test dates, and we can try and figure out if there's any clashes and then move the test or make it a back-to-back test or something like that. Right. So please, if any of you are willing to act as a class rep, let me know. Send me an email and I'll appreciate that. Okay. Any other question, or not other questions? I've only had 2 chat responses from people now. Okay. So you will see some of the, look at the questions, right? If I have in a test and I say explain, then I want you to explain in your own words. If I say in a test, give the definition of the law, then I want you to give the definition as it is set out on the slides. All right. Okay, I see we've got a hand up. Sisanda, yes.
Good day, sir.
Hello, hello.
I'm having problems with opening this PowerPoint slide that have voiceovers. Like I download it and then when I try to open it, it doesn't want to open.
Okay. What program are you using? I we
use
have
the
to.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, that is very strange because it's on Moodle. Well, let me say if I have other students with the same problem, then maybe you can send me an email and I'll try to send the document to you specifically and then see if you can open that. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Send me an email, Susanna. All right. People, and really we are here for you. We want to make this as enjoyable and as practical as possible. I hope that you will enjoy the Intro to Commercial Law module this year. As I say, I am taking you up to the end of August and then handing you over to our other lecturer. So I wish you the best of luck. Please give us 3 hours a week, right? 1 hour for the Zoom and 2 hours reading the materials, and everything would be fantastic. Okay, I am going to stop the recording